welcome to Life Under Lockdown. I'm delighted once again to see Sister Roseann, albeit we can't be in person with each other. And I've just spent the last almost half an hour talking to her and catching up and not recording anything. We probably should have recorded all of it, but anyway, we'll see what patter comes out. How you doing?
I'm doing very well indeed, and it's great to see you. And don't you worry, I think the patter will come out anyway when we get together. It always is, so there's no fear. Lockdown's not taking that away.
I mean, it's been quite an incredible time, a difficult time for many people. You've had your own challenges, sister, this last year, even less than a year. You've been in and out of hospital with different things. How are you feeling now?
Well, I'm feeling great now, and my foot, which was the big problem, is kind of unbelievable. It's amazing. It's really well healed. I've always going to have the problem with it, but it's nothing in comparison to most things. But it's funny because as lockdown does, it gives you a time for reflection. And certainly, I spent about 6 weeks in hospital when I was getting this operation, and that in many ways has been a great preparation for lockdown, because actually I'm glad I'm in lockdown and not in hospital, certainly not at this time. But it did, I've always been somebody who's good in my own company. I like other people's company, but I like religious life. There's a certain element of it where you're in your own wee cell and you're in your own, wee community, and that's the way, I like living my life. I have no problems with that. That's quite good. But I'm so pleased not to be in hospital at this time, as we said. So being in the house and being up in the office is great.
And you've got you get 3 in the community now. How are you all coping together, being locked down together?
Well, we're all coping well. In fact, it's been great in many ways. Poor Catherine joined us as a postulate in the 2nd of February and was almost immediately in lockdown. So that'll test her vacation if nothing else will. And she's still there. She hasn't ran screaming for the door yet.
Fair, she can't legally go anywhere, so...
No, exactly. Well, we could shove her up in the whole house here if we wanted to, But she is actually still in our house, still living with us. And actually, we're very, very lucky. As a lot of people will know, Sister Andrea's mum, Janet, sadly died. And that was really hard, because this is a horrible time to lose anybody. This is a horrible time for somebody to die. And we had the graveside committal where there was just the 5 of us and another few of Sister Andrea's friends. There was 7 of us there all together, really. And that's really hard. But actually, it was beautiful, because her mum was a woman of great faith, and sisters are women of great faith. And as we always seem to do when someone dies, we always reflect on the fact that we don't know what people do who don't have faith. But when you have faith, and especially in this Easter season, resurrection, death and resurrection is all around you. Every single day when we pray, there is something about new life. There's something about heaven. There's something about Jesus being the resurrection, and that we'll all be together again. And her mum died on the Wednesday of Holy Week, which actually was the same day or the same time that my dad died. He died on Wednesday of Holy Week 4 years ago. And I remember at that time thinking all the scriptures and everything that we were going through was so amazing if you believe. And they did believe, we believe. So although it's hard and we're sad and we miss her, and these are crazy times, not to be there with her when she died, but thanks be to God, the Little Sisters, she was in the Little Sisters in Rob Royston, and they were fantastic, and they were there with her when she died. But we also believe the angels and the saints are there with you, and the Lord's there with you, so she didn't die alone. So, but we 3 are getting on great, and we just try and keep a bit of a routine going, which is good. So we have a later holy hour these days. We have an 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock holy hour, which for us is much later. So that's quite good. And then we come up to the initiative, because we're a household. So we come up, which is just in the next street from where we live, and we do usually work in the morning till about 1, and then we kind of either stay here or we go and do other things back down in the house and stuff like that. So, and then we keep our prayers up. So we have more prayers at 12 when the Angelus goes, and we say our prayer during the day. And then we have rosary and evening prayer at 5:30, which is as we normally would have. And then we have night prayer at 9. So our day is kind of segmented with prayer. And that's great, because it gives you a bit of a real balance in your life, and it gives you a real routine as well. So
it's interesting. You're still you said you're still working. I mean, obviously your job is outreach and you help women and crisis pregnancies. How is that still ongoing amidst this?
Well, we're still working in that we're still helping people who need stuff. So we work with a lot of agencies, who get in touch with us, hospitals who get in touch, mums who have either just have babies or going to have babies and they don't have the stuff that they need. And what we do is we're still here getting that stuff ready for them. But the office isn't officially open, but we're here, and then we arrange times for people to come. So whereas before people would say, I'll come on Wednesday afternoon or whatever, now they say, I'll be there between 10 and 10:15. And they ring the doorbell, we open the door, the stuff's waiting there, they take the stuff and they go, and we wave at them from a distance. So we're doing all of that kind of stuff while keeping the social distancing in. And it's the same with most of the organisations that we work with. They're all under these conditions at the moment as well. So we just have to be sensible. But the reality is that people still need a pram to put their baby in. They still need baby clothes. They still need toiletries and all that kind of stuff. So it's still important that we're here. But it's also important that we don't have our volunteers and we don't have some of our staff members, and Gail, our other one staff member. But the three of us are able to work away, so that's quite good.
You think
and then a lot of it. Say that again?
Think your workload's increased a bit, you think, or given your
No, it hasn't really increased, no, because I think a lot of people are just holding on, if you know what I mean. So we do have a few pregnant women who are due babies in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then a bit further on than that. And so with them, it's mainly on the phone. It's mainly texting them or phoning them to see how they're doing, to see if they're okay. We've had a few deliveries that we've had to take stuff to our mums, but literally it's weird because we put the stuff at their doorstep practically, and then we wait in the car for them to come out and collect the stuff, and then we wave over at them, and then we get in the car and we go, because we just can't risk anything. We can't. That's, I think, everybody's big fear is not so much you catching it, but you giving it to somebody, because we simply don't know, So we've been doing a bit of chapdoor run, which is taking me back to my childhood, but it's funny because you develop other ways of communicating with people. So people who normally you wouldn't see that often, you're just sending them a wee text every couple of days, or just a wee article or something, just to keep them encouraged and to let them know that you're thinking about them, And obviously we're still doing the emergency stuff, so we do get emergency calls, so people saying we need this or we need that, do you have it? And usually we can provide, so that's good.
You still get your supplies. I mean, obviously you are relying on donations and things and generosity from the general public. That's still at the same levels, or you're less?
No, at the moment we're not, and we're asking people not to bring us stuff, because the problem is, because the office isn't open, because we're adhering to the government's guidelines, if people leave stuff here, then it encourages people to come and steal stuff, it encourages vermin, it encourages all sorts of things. So at the moment we've got enough supplies. I mean, you've been in our place, you know how much stuff we've got. And if we got to a stage where we needed stuff, we would simply just go and get it. So just to keep everything okay, we're tidying over fine. We're not really. What I imagine is going to happen, though, is I think everybody's cleaning out their houses. So I think as soon as lockdown's over, we're going to get inundated.
Well, I don't know if he takes men's clothes, but I've now got size 34 trousers in abundance, which don't fit me.
I'm telling you, somebody will have them. But I think a lot of charities are going to be the same. We're keeping everything's just getting kept at that level. We're all just doing what we can do and trying to be there for people. But I think as soon as lockdown's over, people are going to be bringing us stuff. So then that's fine. That's what we do.
That's great. I'm really glad you're still thriving, because you do such great work and you've such a tough year. Personally, you've had with pandemics and you're still going. So
yeah, absolutely. It takes more than this to get. We'll be going for a long time. We're nearly, we've been going for nearly 25 years now, which is amazing. It's 2022 is our 25th anniversary, and March 2022, and I find that amazing. That's quarter of a century. That is quite a long time to be going. But obviously, there's a need for it, and people. you know, things that we do grow and develop, and we're always very aware of that. We're there to address people's needs. And there were different needs when we started nearly 25 years ago, you know, when there was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was no, when you think about it, how the world's changed in those years, you know, and part of, I suppose, the thing I'm proudest of in what we do is that we've always tried to evolve with people, you know, so we've always tried to look at what people's needs are and address them in any way that we can. Hopefully what's not evolved is the way that we do it. You know, we try and do it with unconditional love. We try and do it with a bit of happiness, with a bit of joy, with a laugh. You know, we try and lighten people's load as opposed to adding to it. So, you know, I think we do that quite well.
Well, I think you do as well. I think any event
Thank you.
me and Brian have worked with have been absolutely uplifting. You know, we were lucky to go to that ladies' lunch you did a few years ago.
Yeah.
We were the only men. Me and Brian were the only men in the room. We're feeling a bit threatened.
Not at all. Friendly fire. Friendly fire.
But it was great. It was really good. And I think the joy about doing these interviews is I'm getting the chance to meet and see people online in abundance all across the UK and beyond. And,
I know, it's amazing.
You know, it's so easy to do.
It's amazing.
In a room.
Well, it's one of the things about, you know, the whole lockdown thing is like, I hadn't even heard of Zoom. Like most people, I hadn't heard of Zoom. Yeah. And now it's amazing, actually, the number of things you can watch in Zoom, you know, the number of people you can be in contact with. That's making us think of other things. Because one of the things that we also do is we try and get the pro-life message across. We try and educate people on what abortion is and on why people have abortions, and also on the whole post-abortion thing, which is a massive thing. And it's one of the things, as you know, it's Sister Andrea's kind of speciality is the whole Rachel's Vineyard retreats and working with individual women. And one of the problems in the lockdown is that lots of women who would normally be in contact, because of they've got their families around them, maybe they can't speak. They can't speak at a time that they're able to, you know, they can't speak of these things because they're very deep and confidential things, and it's very difficult to find the space to do that if you're in your house, and maybe people in the house with you don't know about your abortion, they don't know about your story, whatever it may be, you know, whether that's your family or you might be stuck with college friends or flatmates or whatever. It can be any number of things, you know. And so that's the thing where I think, again, once lockdown is out, I think that's going to come out. I think a lot of people are keeping a lot of things in at the moment and just trying to, and so I suppose that's where with texting people and stuff, certainly Sister Andrea has been on to quite a lot of the women that she works with, just encouraging them, just reminding them that this too will pass, you know, that there will be a time when we'll all be able to meet again and see each other face to face again. Because that's the other thing, although this is brilliant, none of us can wait until we can see each other face to face. You know, it's great to see you online, but it will be great to have a wee cup of tea with you and to see you face to face, because it's different.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's a strange scenario for people. Obviously, it gives some consolation, but it isn't.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know,
but I suppose that's the great thing. It's the one thing, you know. It's the thing about prayer as well. You know, it's that whole thing about, it's great to talk to Jesus face to face. It's great to be there, but it's also great to this is when we miss the sacrament. You know, this is when we miss the Eucharist, because that is actually receiving Christ into our lives. You know, we're very lucky in that we have the Blessed Sacrament in the house, so at least we can have adoration, and that's an amazing thing. You know, that's an incredible privilege which we do not take for granted at all. And in fact, we've been increasing the amount of time that we spend in the Blessed Sacrament, aware that so many other people can't do that at all. So there is that kind of community of prayer thing. But for all of this, we long to be there in the church and to be with Jesus. And that's a great thing as well, because it's increasing, you know, our desire for when this is all over, I'm going to run into a cathedral with open arms, you know. I think there'll be a lot of people who'll be really overwhelmed by the fact that you suddenly realise what it is that we miss, not just in the Eucharist, but in the whole church and in the whole community of what we are, you know. And that's been great online as well, you know, because I think You know, you like I will probably look at a lot of the same things online. And it's great to see how people are coming together. You know, it's great to do that. But
Definitely, I think people are coming back. It's a common theme over the last few weeks I've noticed is people are returning back to their faith. Either they haven't been practicing for years.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting to me that is this situation, so dark as it is, has brought out
absolutely
the response of faith. You think it would be the opposite. In some way you think, wow, this is terrible. But actually the fact is that the lockdowns encourage more people to think about what's important in life, and it seems that to me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the essential thing about it. It does suddenly, and also there's that thing about, you know, for all of our whatever, for all of our intelligence, for all of our wealth, for all of our position, for all of our whatever we think, at the end of the day, we are quite powerless. You know, a tiny little virus has made us powerless. It's literally, we think we're in control, but we're not in control. And that's one of the great lessons of so many of the great saints. You know, it's the whole thing. When you think you can control everything, actually, when you get stripped away and you realise that actually you have so little control, but then you have to ponder, well, who is in control? And when you realise that it's the Lord that's in control, it's the Lord who's got us all in his hand, then actually that is the whole question. What is the meaning of my life, and what's the point of it all? You know, because all of the things that used to bring consolation don't bring consolation. When they're all gone and you're facing life here as we are, then you have to think about these things. If you don't think about these things, then that really is a wasted opportunity. And I think when people do think and people do reflect, then that leads them to the Lord. You know, that is the Lord saying.
I think so. I mean, absolutely. I think from my own experience as well, going through this very difficult start of the lockdown, I think, you know, my faith has grown immensely. I mean, I've had one of the best Easters I've ever had. And I'll say that categorically. I thought Easter was brilliant, you know.
Oh, it was phenomenal. We had an amazing Easter, even the death of Sister Andrea's mum, even with the sadness of that. And it was terribly sad, you know, because we all loved her, you know, and she was a big part of my life the last 20 odd years, you know, and it's sad to watch some of them that you loved suffering as well, you know. So, but we had a remarkable Easter, you know, it was, and despite it all, Easter joy, 50 days of Easter joy, is about living your life to the full. And that's what we try and do all the time, you know. As you know, our motto is, or the piece of scripture that's really important to us, is I have come that you may have life and life in abundance. It's never just about survival. And that's how we try to live our pro-life work as well. It's not just about saving these babies. It's about giving them life in abundance. It's about healing the women abundantly, not just saying, you know, you're forgiven, now go on with it. It's about enriching their lives. It's about understanding them. It's about showing care and compassion. And all of that is needed nowadays more than ever. And where we see that in other scenarios, you know, like the incredible NHS workers or the people who work in shops who are out there, anybody who's working in these difficult circumstances, people see that goodness and that kindness, and they recognise where it comes from, you know, and it comes from God, but it also comes from our shared humanity, and so that must bring hope to people. You know, I think it does. It definitely does.
That was
and it'll be interesting. Yeah. We'll be analysing this for years to come. You know, we really will.
Well, I've been thinking about how they're going to do it in museums in future. I can just see that chief medical officer, the one that resigned. you just see her video getting played over again. Think, oh no.
I know. Well, you know, already I heard, in fact, on the radio today. I can't remember if it was the libraries, the national libraries or something, are asking people to do little 5-minute films of their lockdown life. Because in this multimedia age, you know, in this day of all of this, then it'll be incredible to keep a record of that, you know, to keep a record of. But I hope we take on board the fact that it needs to be a reflective message. You know, we really need to reflect upon these things, not just share them, but to think about what it is that's really important. Think about what it is that we're sharing, you know, not just to catalogue, this is what I did during lockdown, but to remember the things that really suddenly became important to you, or the things that were always important to you that became even richer. You know, so I think we had a fantastic Easter as well, and I'm sure many people did. Yes, we missed the Triduum. You know, the thought in not being at the Triduum was incredible. But actually, we watched it all live with the Archbishop from the cathedral, and it was a remarkable time.
No,
it
funny. Just sorry to jump in, but you know, Mammy's always saying stop jumping in, and people interview them. But anyway, I'm going to do it anyway. This is actually the second Easter I've not been at. I took a really, really bad flu 2 Easters ago.
All right.
And Brian live streamed it in Moss End, and I watched all the masses from home. And you know, so in a way, I kind of had a semi-preparation of how that felt, and you know, it doesn't compare, because the next year I'm back and I was there for Easter. It just doesn't compare.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it doesn't. But you know, it was funny when I was in hospital. We go to the 8:15 Mass in St Andrew's Cathedral in Glasgow in the morning, every morning. And when I was in hospital, once I kind of got out of surgery and was back on my feet a wee bit, I used to watch Mass on my iPad while having my Rice Krispies there in the morning, you know, in that kind of, you know, when you're not 100% well and you're kind of tired and everything, but you just think, and I literally used to be up in my elbows spooning these horrendous Rice Krispies into my...
Should you be eating Rice Krispies? I don't think that's recommended.
Rice Krispies, the one thing I will complain about in hospital was the food. It was horrendous. The food was horrendous. And the only thing that I could eat was the Rice Krispies in the morning. I don't recommend them either. And I haven't had them since the day I came out of hospital. And I'll probably never have them again. But at the time, they were a lifesaver. And I used to watch Mass and think this is a bit weird, especially eating my breakfast. But actually, it was an incredible consolation to feel still part of it, you know. And you remember when St Therese came, I was really, really moved on a Saturday night when they did the vigil, the evening prayer from St Mirren's Cathedral in Paisley, which I kind of watched, not that bothered about watching it. And actually, by the end of it, I was really touched. I felt so much part of the church, so much part of the wider church, you know, not just my parish, not just the cathedral, not just Scotland, but this tiny wee French saints, you know, this little woman who never moved out of, practically anyway, never moved out of one little bit of France, you know, and yet the universality of the church is amazing. And today we celebrate the feast of Saint Gianna Beretta Molla, who's a great pro-life saint. And last night we had an extra wee, because it was the 27th of April and the anniversary of the implementation of the Abortion Act, we had an extra holy hour last night. And then because it was the vigil of Gianna Molla, we decided to add her into the whole mix thing. And it was amazing, because you're sitting there again thinking of this incredible saintly woman in a wee village in Italy, and God sees how Italy has been, you know, the coronavirus has really hit there, and you think the miracle of that woman. She was born the same year as my dad, which I discovered yesterday. In fact, the same month and same year, just a few days after my dad. It's quite amazing. And to think that that woman's now a saint in heaven, you know, they're interceding for us, interceding for all the prayers that we had last night for the pro-life cause and all that kind of stuff. It's incredible how all of this links us all together, you know. That reality of the family of God is a very real thing, and I find it really tangible in this whole epidemic, in this whole crisis, how we as a family of God have come together remarkably, you know, to see Mass being screened online, devotion, again, people saying prayers they haven't said for years, or they've never said at all, and people suddenly getting an idea of what we're all about, you know. What's really important to us, and what really makes our lives, or should make our lives different, should make our lives worth living and worth witnessing to. It's an amazing thing, it really is.
Well, thank you, sister, for this really uplifting chat today. It's not only good to chat to you, it's good to see you as well.
I know, it's nice to see you too.
It's wonderful, and I hope that many people watching this, because a lot of people are going through a tough time in the lockdown, and things. Hope they'll take inspiration from your joy and your words. You know, you've suffered loss this period, you've suffered hardship, but yet you've still got your joy, and that is the mark of what we are as Catholics. Is knowing who we are. We're the Easter.
Oh, absolutely. It's the key point. You know, it is the key point. It's not that we don't suffer. It's not that we're not sad sometimes. It's not that we don't get depressed. It's not that we don't get angry. It's none of those things. We are human. You know, our humanity is a mark of everything, but it's what we do with what we're given. It's what we do with who we are. And at the end of the day, if you have the Lord in your life, it does make a huge difference. You know, no matter who you are, it makes a huge difference. For some of us, we're given the vocation to try and live that out in a kind of a more public way and a more obvious way. But for us, it's just more of a privilege. And we get the graces that we've been given during this lockdown are incredible. And we're not the only ones. We see it with all our friends and lots of people who are saying, you know, this has given me a chance to do this or to do that, or to pray more, just to be more conscious of what's the point of my life. And my prayer now is I just hope, as please God, we are coming out of this lockdown, that we won't forget these things. But I don't think we will. And I think things like this social media stuff will make people remember. You know, when we look back, hopefully we'll not get into all the bad habits of thinking we're so busy that we don't have time to do this and to do that. And, you know, hopefully we won't we won't forget the real important lessons that we've learned. So keep up the good work there at Sancta Familia. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we'll see you soon after lockdown.
I suppose I better finish by, actually, we had planned to come and thank you personally, Sister Roseann, because after St Teresa's visit, you started an online fundraiser.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Which raised a huge amount of money, and, you know, that was absolutely fantastic support from the people who did donate. There's too many names to thank individually without missing someone out, but you yourself were the main thrust in that, and me and Brian were so grateful, because, you know, we obviously are working through commissions and different things, and to have that extra boost was a really, really great support. It really did help us through you know, that period last year where we were thinking, are we going to be here next year? We're going to be doing what we're doing, and we're still sustained by God. So thank you very much, Sister, for that, and hope you keep well and safe during this crisis.
Oh, thank you very much. Listen, it was a pleasure. It really was, because I think, as you know, my thing has always been talk's cheap, but we also need to do something. You know, my mother, God rest her, used to say, when all is said and done, there's a lot more said than done. And the lesson being that you should not just speak, but you should do something about it. So if people want to support either you or I, then they should do something. You know, pray for us. If nothing else, people can pray for us and keep praying for us, and pray for all those women that we try and help, and all those children that we try and save. And we'll see you after lockdown. First pipes on you.
See you, Sister. God bless.
Bye. God bless.